Imagine this, Batman as a vampire hunter. Do I really need to explain why this is so cool? This will be a very different Batman. Gotham City is filled with all kinds of vampires and other supernatural monsters, and the Dark Knight is the only hunter around to save the city from evil. So let's fire up the what if machine, because I'm going to tell you how Batman became a vampire hunter and transform Batman's villains into terrifying monsters. This is going to be fun. Batman the Vampire Hunter. Okay, let's just dive into this. A few things right off the bat. Batman is still gonna be a regular human. He's not a vampire himself. This isn't Blade dressed up as Batman. Comic book Batman can go toe-to-toe with super beings like Superman and Darkseid, so I'm sure he can handle some vamps. But this Batman lives in a very different world. Bruce Wayne didn't dedicate his life to fighting crime, but instead he's the world's greatest vampire hunter. Gotham City is the central hub of all kinds of supernatural beings. Vampires are Batman's main enemies, but there are other types of monsters, demons, evil spirits, and ghosts lurking around. And yeah, I know that technically that makes Batman a monster hunter, but vampire hunter just has a better ring to it. But you know, the thing about all monster hunters is they tend to hunt and kill the monsters. But Batman doesn't kill. That's one of the core elements that makes him who he is. And in this what if version, Batman refuses to kill the monsters he hunts. Instead, he throws them in Arkham Asylum, where they can't harm anyone else. Before I go any further, let me explain how Batman became a vampire hunter in the first place. Like in any Batman story, Bruce Wayne's parents were killed when he was young. But this time, Thomas and Martha Wayne were members of a vampire-slaying organization. The Slayers attempted to clean Gotham of all of its vampires, but things didn't go so well for them. On one terrible night, all members of this organization were wiped out by vampires. Bruce witnessed the death of his parents, but he was saved at the last moment by Alfred. Turns out, the trusty butler is a bona fide vampire slayer himself, who was able to survive the annihilation of the Slayers. Bruce devoted his life to becoming the most skilled vampire slayer in the world. While Bruce was trained under Alfred, Gotham was infested by all kinds of supernatural beings. Most crime organizations in town are run by vampires. Other criminals and corrupt officials are their familiars, who are servants that hope to be turned into vampires by their masters. At some point in his life, Bruce left Gotham and traveled the world to learn the skills that will turn him into the best monster hunter alive. Alfred has the skills, but he's mostly a vampire slayer, and Bruce wanted to learn from other monster hunting experts. On his travels, Bruce learned something that changed his whole perspective about supernatural beings. Not all monsters are inherently evil. Sure, some beings are simply evil to their core, but other monsters are simply slaves to their own nature. Vampires, for example, must feed on blood to survive, which is why many of them end up seeing humans as cattle. But there is still humanity in them deep down. Bruce also encountered some supernatural beings that learned to control their cravings, and they refused to harm humans. This revelation changed Bruce's ideology about monster slaying. He won't kill monsters that still have humanity in them. Instead, he decides to hunt harmful monsters and lock them in Arkham Asylum. Now, there are other supernatural beings out there that are beyond redemption, like demons. These beings are not human, and Batman's no-killing rule usually becomes a bit more flexible with these beings. Now, since Batman is a human with no powers or magical abilities, he uses his amazing toys to hunt monsters. Most of the regular Batman gadgets, weapons, and more can easily be adjusted for vampire hunting. With his physical prowess and brilliance, Batman can go toe-to-toe with some of the most powerful monsters out there. Since Batman is the world's greatest detective, he knows the strengths and weaknesses of every monster out there, so he's always prepared for every hunt. Batman works with a special task force in the GCPD who are specialized in hunting vampires and other monsters. James Gordon is in charge of this team. Bruce Wayne used his money to build Arkham Asylum, a special prison for monsters. Batman uses his tech to create serums that can rehabilitate the monsters in Arkham. For example, manufacturing synthetic blood for vampires that serve as a substitute for human blood. Eventually, Batman will even attempt to create a cure for vampires and other monsters. Batman has one of the best rogues gallery of villains, and I'm gonna try and transform them into monsters. I have to be honest, I wish I could go all Guillermo del Toro here and create some original and unique monsters, but for that I need to spend hours explaining my monstrosities. So I'm gonna use some of the classics to keep it simple. Let's start with the Joker. Since Batman is a vampire hunter, his greatest villain needs to be a vampire himself. He is an ancient and unkillable vampire who thrives on chaos. Just imagine the Joker as a vampire. Do I really need to say more? Catwoman is a vampire as well. Or I guess a vampiress? Anyway, Selina used to be evil, but after being almost killed by a vampire slayer, she made a deal with an ancient cat goddess. She got 9 lives, but in exchange, she can't harm human beings. So she is constantly battling her inner craving for blood, which makes her the perfect love interest for Batman. Two-Face is a half-werewolf. Harvey Dent used to be Gotham's district attorney, but then he was bitten by a werewolf. Batman tried to save Harvey by creating a serum that was meant to stop the transformation. However, it didn't work that well since half of Harvey's body is normal and the other half is a monstrous werewolf. The Scarecrow is a demon from hell who's possessing the body of Dr. Jonathan Crane. The demon feeds on fear and is able to create terrifying illusions, kind of like Pennywise from It. The Riddler is an energy vampire. Unlike other vampires, he doesn't feed on blood, but instead he feeds on emotional energy. He gets that energy from tormenting humans with riddles. And yeah, I used the idea from What We Do in the Shadows. Not the movie, the show. It's really funny, highly recommended. Bane is a mutant hybrid. He started out as a regular vampire, but after being injected with blood from multiple monsters, he became a terrifying monstrosity. Bane feeds on blood from other monsters, which makes him stronger. Mr. Freeze is what happens when an experiment with science and magic goes wrong. His wife Nora was bitten by a vampire, and Victor tried to save her with science and magic, but things went badly for him. His physical form was destroyed and transformed into an ectoplasmic spirit. Victor mostly contains his form inside of a frozen containment suit. And yeah, that's totally like that spirit dude from Hellboy 2. Look, it's not easy transforming so many characters into unique monsters. Cut me some slack here. Harley Quinn was Joker's familiar, but eventually Joker turned her into a vampire. The Penguin is a goblin. Poison Ivy is a nymph. Killer Croc is a big crocodile monster. Man-Bat has to be a giant vampire bat, because what else is he gonna be? Ra's al Ghul is an immortal vampire slayer. He believes that all supernatural beings must be exterminated, and his League of Shadows follow his fanatic crusade. Batman trained under Ra's for a while, but their opposing morals and ideologies led to them clashing. Ra's al Ghul's daughter Talia is a powerful sorceress, and Batman's on and off girlfriend/lover. Finally, we have the Court of Owls, who are these powerful vampires who use undead warriors to do their bidding. Remember earlier when I said that Bruce's parents and all the other vampire slayers in the city were killed in one night? Well, the Court are behind it. And I guess other villains could be different variations of monsters as well. Look, there's no way I could go over Batman's entire rogues gallery. That will take me ages. With so many monsters, even Batman will need help. So it's time to transform Batman's sidekicks into monster hunters. But I want to keep Batman as the only human capable of hunting monsters with no supernatural powers. So I'm gonna transform the Bat family into supernatural beings to keep Batman special. Dick Grayson is a half-elf. And yeah, there are elves in this what-if world, cause why not? Dick's father was human and his mother was an elf. After both of them were killed by a werewolf, Dick became Robin, the werewolf hunter. I mean, you gotta give the guy his own gimmick, right? Like in the comics, Dick will eventually become Nightwing. Barbara Gordon is possessed by a spirit of a powerful sorceress. While it took some time, eventually Barbara and the spirit learned to coexist in the same body. Barbara became Batgirl, and with the spirit's magical powers, she started hunting monsters. Jason Todd was a regular human and the second Robin. However, the Joker bit him and Jason was presumed dead. But Ra's al Ghul brought him back to life as the Red Hood. Now he's a vampire infused by magic who feeds on other vampires' blood. Red Hood has no reservations about slaying vampires and monsters, which puts him at odds with Batman. Tim Drake is the third Robin and he is a werewolf. But with Batman's help, he's able to stay a good boy. I think I just pulled something. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, that's my creative bone. That's pretty much the limit of my creativity in this video, guys. But I'm sure we can revisit this story in the future. If you want more Batman the Vampire Hunter videos, let me know and we will make it happen. Hey, but be honest, okay? The vampire hunting Batman story is something we all want to see, right? Or is it just me? So what do you think about all this? Do you agree that Batman as a vampire hunter is an awesome idea? What other what-if videos do you want me to make? Let me know. And if you like this video, please hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to CBR for more what-if videos. Thanks for watching.